Hello class, I hope everyone learned something new from the reading just as I did, mainly being the vast size of 7-Eleven. But anyways, let's get started. 7-Eleven Japan is one of the most successful examples of using supply chain design with a competitive strategy. The whole establishment is built on their quick responsiveness to consumer change, i.e. what product is desired the most. They offer fresh products constantly, and it's highly available, seeing as it's in any location near you, making it incredibly convenient. All these factors draw in consumers and increase profit. The success can be analyzed when you look at how the company coordinated the 5 key supply chain drivers: facilities, inventory, transportation, information, and sourcing. Starting with the first question, diving into the 5 supply chain drivers, facilities. The company used a cluster strategy or dominant strategy by opening dense networks where a large network of stores were supported by local distribution centers. This meant faster refills, so healthy products always, lower drive times, and visibility of demand, meaning the company knew when products would be arriving and have control on the time. Small distance circles leaves little room for delays. Because of the large number of stores and close distribution networks, inventory levels were low, with a frequent replenishment and quick turnover. Stores were able to carry just enough stock without fear of refillment, reducing waste, and again emphasizing the desire for fresh products. For transportation of goods, they used a temperature scale to account for movement of products, meaning multiple suppliers' products were in a single truck organized by whatever temperature was required for those products, and this reduced how many deliveries the store got, and therefore reducing the overall cost. For information, it seemed was the most important. By using the payment systems and a data analyzer, they captured the demographics of the customer, what items were being sold at what times, and created a trend graph and were able to track what was being sold the most based off of what SKU was performing the highest. This enabled, again, the constant rotation of products based off what appeared to be the most desired, and they could make quick changes. The final supply chain driver being sourcing, where 7-Eleven had long-term contracts with suppliers and food production facilities. They were integrated into the system and could also respond quickly to consumer requests, aligning with the store's demands. Now, to answer the second part of this question, in my opinion, I think that every driver they had maximized itself in the most efficient way. The more you analyze the system of networks and key players, the more it all intertwines, and one drive can almost resolve the issue generated from another, if that makes sense. With that being said, however, I do think information and the way they received and disseminated it was the biggest driver, and to me seems like it created the success they have. Rather than continuing with one product, as many stores do, they went down to the lowest level and pulled what the individual person wanted by the demographic of the area that store is in. That's where the second most important supply drivers comes in, transportation. The feasibility of it by having small networks means that they can keep up with the demand and intentionally prepare for it, which is very impressive. Now for the second question, providing some examples. Several companies have structured supply chains and specific drivers. The first one being Zara. Through inventory and facilities, Zara relies mostly on small batches of production and a quick replenishment. They maintain the idea that keeping the inventory on select fashion items low, they can keep up with the constant changing fashion trends. Additionally, similar to 7-Eleven, they use nearby manufacturing facilities, so distribution responsiveness is quick, keeping up with the constant change in trends. Another example was a very popular one, Amazon, a constantly adapting and changing company. One big one they incorporated is information and transportation. Using advanced data analytics to predict demand based off local areas, they are able to position distribution centers with certain inventory closer to customers. Information on customer wants, similar to 7-Eleven, enables speed and accuracy. For the final question on some suggestions that I would make for the U.S. to have this level of success similar to Japan is a few. So we have not already nearly seen the success of 7-Eleven in the States, which also has made this more interesting to read about, because to me, 7-Eleven, where I am from, was pretty bare bones. It had what a regular gas station had, and that's about it. I do think they could improve in performance with a few strategies. However, looking into a little bit, the structural and behavioral differences in the US, I believe, deters the exact replication. One improvement, though, would be in the delivery system. The US still relies on direct store delivery, whereas if they moved towards a more combined distribution center, they'd again have greater control of the logistics, eyes on, increase and improve the delivery frequency, and in turn reduce cost. Expanding on the offering of fresh foods also would extend to a new audience. Unlike in Japan, the US seeks more long-term products, which steers away from freshness. By investing in a local food production and increasing how frequent deliveries are made for these perishable items, companies can cater to the local taste and capture a part of the community that does focus more on fresh over produced. The last one I'd recommend is increasing store density. Currently, the U.S. operates in a geographically dispersed distribution, but by building in clusters, you can in turn have more efficient distributions. Focusing on dense urban areas would make these clusters especially beneficial. In conclusion, 7-Eleven Japan's success is a result of tight alignment between its competitive strategy and supply chain design, achieved through coordinated investments in all 5 of the supply chain drivers. Its emphasis on information, transportation, and clustered facilities enabled a highly responsive system that delivers fresh products efficiently. While other companies demonstrate similar principles in different contexts, 7-Eleven's integration is uniquely powerful. Replicating this process in the U.S. requires not just copying the model, but adapting it to local conditions, increasing store density, improving distribution systems, expanding on the fresh offerings, and leveraging data more efficiently. Ultimately, strategic fit must be achieved within the context of each market, not transferred unchanged.